Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to update you with where we're at right now with the new polls that have been coming out of the state of New Hampshire. That's going to be the next primary that we're heading towards for next week, and got 6 results here if you want to take a look at them for yourself. I'll have links posted down in the video description. It's actually kind of interesting. Out of all these 6 new polls that have been released over the past few days, all of them have very similar sample sizes. They're all between about 400 to 500 respondents. New Hampshire is a very small population state, not a ton of pledged delegates up for grabs, but again, kind of like Iowa, it's all about building that positive momentum and narrative and trying to have success early on to then build off of that going into the upcoming contests after that. So starting off here with an RKM research poll, this one 454 respondents, and Bernie Sanders did really well in this one, leading the way at nearly 31% of support. And then just running through the rest of the candidates, so you have Michael Bennet, pretty much a non-factor, right around 1%, Joe Biden at around 24 percentage points, and these polls that I'm going through are in order of oldest to newest, so the first ones are going to be before the Iowa result that we just had, and then the newer ones are going to be after that, and you can potentially see a little bit of a shifting in the numbers, perhaps Joe Biden not doing quite as well as what he was showing back before that really terrible result that he had in the Iowa caucus. So then in this one, like I said, Joe Biden, a pretty respectable result for him at around 24%. Bloomberg not expected to be competitive in New Hampshire. I believe he's not even on the ballot, but in this instance, he's at 2%. Buttigieg at 8%. Tulsi Gabbard at 3%. Amy Klobuchar a little over 4 percentage points. And then you have Elizabeth Warren there registering a little over 17 percentage points, and Tom Steyer not registering any support, which is a pretty poor sign from him. But Steyer, he's put a lot of his efforts into trying to do better in the later early primary states of Nevada and South Carolina, so we'll see how that strategy ends up working for him. And then scrolling down, we can see the last option here, Andrew Yang, was there a little bit below 1 percentage point. So then moving down and over to the next poll, we have from UMass Lowell, a sample size of 400 likely voters. And in this instance, Bernie Sanders leading the way at 23%, competitive at the top with Joe Biden, who's at 22 percentage points. Elizabeth Warren there at 19, Pete Buttigieg at 12, everyone else in single digits, where Tom Steyer better in this one at 6%, along with Amy Klobuchar, Tulsi Gabbard at 5%, Andrew Yang at 2%, Deval Patrick at 1%. And again, another one of these polls that is showing Joe Biden in second place, competitive there towards the top with Bernie Sanders, but again, given such a poor result that he had in Iowa, it is more than likely that he's probably going to take a little bit of a step back heading into New Hampshire, whereas Pete Buttigieg might be able to capture a bit more of that moderate centrist type vote away from Biden and perhaps propel him to have more success going into the next state. So then we move over to a Suffolk poll, 500 sample size in this one, and Bernie Sanders leading the way at a little over 24 percentage points. And then behind him in the teens, we have Buttigieg and Biden each there at 15%. You have Elizabeth Warren there at 10%. 5% is Tulsi Gabbard, 6% Amy Klobuchar, 5% Tom Steyer, Andrew Yang at around 3 percentage points. Moving on to the next poll. This one is from St. Anselm College, and this has been notoriously very low on Bernie Sanders. For whatever reason, the polls that we've been getting out of this resource were very low for Sanders throughout this process. You can see the history of the polls that they've been taking over the past year, and they had Sanders kind of hovering around that 10 percentage point number for the better part of this past half year, but he takes a huge step forward in their most recent result, tied in first place at the top with Joe Biden, each of them at 19 percentage points. And then Pete Buttigieg, you can see the prior result, he was up there at 25%, and this one at 14. Also, a couple of results ago, Elizabeth Warren led the way at 25%. In this one, she's down to 11. And essentially, among the top 4 candidates, Warren, Buttigieg, and Biden had all been quite a bit ahead of Bernie Sanders in these St. Anselm College polls for some time throughout this process. But now, again, the most recent poll has Bernie Sanders there at the top at 19%, along with Joe Biden. So, again, Pete Buttigieg at 14, Elizabeth Warren at 11. Amy Klobuchar taking a step forward, certainly in this one, up to 11 percentage points. Tom Steyer at 5. Andrew Yang at 4%. Tulsi Gabbard at 3 percentage points. Just a couple more polls here to finish things out. This one is from UMass Amherst, a sample size of 500. And Bernie Sanders again leading the way at 25%, followed by Joe Biden at 20%, Elizabeth Warren at 17%, Pete Buttigieg at 12%, and then all the other options are in single digits. Klobuchar at 5%, Yang at 4%, Steyer and Gabbard each at 5 percentage points. And then moving on to the last result. In Emerson, they're actually releasing a new poll out of the state of New Hampshire every single day. At least that's what it's been looking like. I think they made that announcement on their Twitter that they were going to be putting out a new set of data out of the state of New Hampshire to see how things track over this next week. So another new result from them last night, and this one actually showed Pete Buttigieg taking a step forward into second place at 17%. Sanders staying strong there at the top at 32 percentage points. And it's the expectation right now that Bernie Sanders is likely to do quite well in New Hampshire. It really should have been the expectation from the get-go, just given how well he did in the state in 2016 and it's neighboring to Vermont. There's a lot of like-minded voters in a Democratic primary in New Hampshire like you'd get over with the more liberal voters in Vermont. There is some crossover. They're a similar type of demographic and voter, which should be beneficial to Sanders. Also, he's very well known in this region of the country. So then finishing off the results from this Emerson poll, you have Biden there in third place at 13%, with Klobuchar and Warren each at 11 percentage points, Yang at 6, along with Tulsi Gabbard, Tom Steyer at 2%, Deval Patrick at 1, Michael Bennet at 0. And I'm not sure why some of these candidates here towards the bottom are still in it, like Bennett and Patrick, for instance. They have essentially registered nothing in the way of support for the better part of the past handful of months, and it doesn't seem like that's turning around anytime soon. So these are the 6 New Hampshire polls that I want to touch on here in today's video that have been released over the past few days, and it is painting a very promising picture for Bernie Sanders going into the next primary. If we take a look at the average of the polling in the state of New Hampshire over the course of this process, you can see that Bernie has been trending in a very positive direction recently, whereas Biden has taken a step back, certainly. And then you have Buttigieg and Warren. They're kind of in a battle for third place, but again, building off of the positive momentum from the Iowa caucus, wouldn't be surprised to see Buttigieg not just get past Warren, but maybe even leapfrog Biden and what the polls would be indicating to us right now. And then also Klobuchar there, the highest among the candidates that are averaging in the single digits, followed by Gabbard, Yang, and then Steyer behind him. So that's going to finish this one off, guys. I appreciate you stopping by. Consider subscribing to the YouTube channel and hope to see you back here for my next video.